When my mother died, that same day my mother-in-law showed up and demanded $5 million in inheritance and an apartment after that. I couldn't take it anymore. Such a response from the quiet daughter-in-law she never expected. Before we begin, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and enjoy the story. Vera was never a pushover, though everyone around her stubbornly believed she was exactly that. She simply didn't see the point in wasting energy on empty arguments and conflicts with people who weren't particularly important to her. At 32 years old, she headed the analytics department at a major logistics company, earned $130,000 a year, and didn't let anyone tell her how to live her life at work. She was respected and even feared. Colleagues knew that if Vera said no, it was impossible to change her mind. She didn't raise her voice or create scandals, but her tone carried such confidence that no one wanted to argue. Her path to this position hadn't been easy. Vera grew up in an ordinary family where her mother worked as an accountant and her father taught mathematics at a school. There was enough money for everything necessary, but nothing more. Her parents taught their daughter the main lesson: if you want to achieve something, work for it. Nobody gives you anything for free. Her father passed away when Vera was 22. A heart attack, sudden, without warning. She was in her third year of university at the time, studying economics and logistics. After the funeral, her mother said, "Verachka, continue your studies. I'll manage." And she managed. Tamara got a second job. In the evenings, she kept books for a small firm. Vera tried to help, working as a waitress on weekends. But her mother refused to take money from her. "You study, that's your job now. Everything else is mine." Vera studied hard, graduated with honors, and immediately received several job offers. She chose the logistics company because they promised career growth, and they didn't disappoint. Within a year, she became a senior analyst, and 2 years after that, department head. By 27, Vera was already earning over $100,000, renting an apartment downtown, and taking vacations abroad. Her mother was proud of her, but never asked for money. Vera sent it herself, helped out, bought gifts. Tamara accepted with embarrassment, always trying to give some back. "Mom, this is for you. Spend it on yourself." "Verachka, I don't need much. You do? Buy yourself a new coat or take a trip somewhere with your friends." Tamara would smile and hug her daughter. "Okay, sweetheart." Vera met Constantine at a mutual friend's office party. A tall, calm man with intelligent eyes and a quiet voice. He worked as a programmer, developing applications for banks. They talked about work, about life, and exchanged numbers. He called 3 days later and invited her to the movies. Vera agreed. They dated for 6 months. Constantine was reliable, attentive, and didn't try to pressure or control her. Vera valued this. Too many men she'd known wanted to dominate, teach her how to live, make decisions for her. Constantine was simply there, supportive when needed, staying back when not asked. In their 7th month together, he proposed. No fanfare, just asked over dinner. "Vera, Maraim, I want us to be a family." She didn't think long. Okay, they had a modest wedding for about 50 people. Vera's mother was happy, crying tears of joy. Linda Peterson, Constantine's mother, flew in from Denver. Vera saw her for the first time then. A middle-aged woman, heavy-set, with a perpetually dissatisfied expression on her face. Throughout the ceremony, she sat with pursed lips and then pulled Constantine aside and asked, loud enough for people to hear, "Connie, are you sure?" "She's so serious. Doesn't smile much." Constantine responded then, "Mom, I'm sure." "Vera is wonderful." Linda shrugged and didn't insist, but Vera remembered that moment. Her mother-in-law had evaluated, criticized, and looked for flaws from the very first meeting. And that was only the beginning. After the wedding, Linda returned to Denver but called regularly. At first once a week, then more often. She would grill her son about everything. How was work? What was his salary? What did they spend money on? What did Vera cook? How did she keep house? Constantine would answer briefly, trying to change the subject, but his mother would return to her interrogation point one day, about a month after the wedding. Linda called at 3 in the morning. Vera woke up to the ringing, sleepily grabbed the phone. Hello. Verochka, it's me, Linda. Hello. Did something happen? No, everything's fine. I was just thinking about how much you spent on the wedding. Connie won't say, and I'm curious. Vera sat up in bed, fully awake now. Linda, it's 3 a.m. Oh, sorry, I forgot about the time difference. So how much? That's none of your business. How is it not my business? I'm Connie's mother. I want to know what the kids got themselves into. We didn't get into anything, and these are our expenses. Verochka, don't be like that. Just tell me roughly. Vera exhaled, counting to 10. Linda, I'm hanging up. Good night. Wait, I wanted to ask something else. Vera ended the call and lay back down. Constantine stirred beside her and woke up. Who called? Your mother asking how much we spent on the wedding. At 3 a.m. Constantine groaned and covered his face with his hands. God, I'm sorry, Vera. I'll talk to her. Please do. He called his mother in the morning and spent 20 minutes explaining that you can't call in the middle of the night, that their finances were their business, and that boundaries needed to be respected. Linda was offended and didn't call for 2 weeks. Then she called again, as if nothing had happened, and it all started over. Vera quickly understood that her mother-in-law wouldn't change. She was used to controlling her son, and the appearance of a wife was perceived as a threat. Every call was an attempt to gain influence. Every question a test of who was in charge. Vera didn't engage in the battle. She simply kept her distance. When Linda called, she'd hand the phone to her husband. When asked something directly, she'd answer briefly, formally. She wasn't rude, wasn't mean, but she didn't allow closeness either. You're too cold with my mom, Constantine would sometimes say. I'm polite. That's enough. She thinks you don't love her. I don't love her. I respect her because she's your mother, but I'm not obligated to love her. Constantine went quiet. Arguing with Vera was pointless. He'd learned that long ago. She wasn't one to change her mind under pressure a year after the wedding. Linda announced she was coming to visit. For a month. Constantine tried to talk her down, suggested 2 weeks, but his mother insisted. Connie, I haven't seen you in so long. I want to spend more time with you. She arrived with 3 suitcases and immediately began settling in. She rearranged things in the guest room, criticized the furniture placement, and suggested improvements. Vera stayed silent, letting her do whatever she wanted in the guest room. It was her mother-in-law's space for a month, so let her arrange it however she liked. But Linda didn't stop there. She invaded the kitchen, moved dishes around, rearranged products in the refrigerator, saying it was more convenient this way. Vera endured it for 3 days, then calmly said, Linda, put everything back the way it was. What? Put it back? The dishes, the groceries, everything in its place. But this way is better. Maybe so, but this is my kitchen, and I'm used to my own order. Her mother-in-law was offended, but returned everything to its place. True. She spent the whole evening with a sour face, sighing and shooting meaningful glances at her son. Constantine tried to smooth things over, but Vera was adamant. Her house, her rules. The next conflict happened a week later. Vera came home from work and found Linda in their bedroom. She was standing by the closet, going through their things. What are you doing? Her mother-in-law turned around unabashed. Oh, Verochka, I decided to help sort out your things. You have such a mess. What mess? Everything is where it should be. Well, Connie's things are mixed with yours. I wanted to separate them. Vera walked over and closed the closet door. Linda, this is our bedroom. You can't come in here without permission. But Connie is my son. What permission? Any. We're adults, living separately. Want to come into our room? Ask, are you serious? Absolutely. Linda left, slamming the door loudly. That evening there was a scene. Her mother-in-law complained to Constantine that his wife had thrown her out of the room, was rude to her, and didn't respect her elders. Constantine listened, then said, Mom, Vera's right. It's our bedroom. You really do need to ask before entering. Connie, I'm not a stranger. Mom, you're not a stranger, but that doesn't mean you can walk in without knocking and go through our things. Linda cried, locked herself in the guest room for 3 days. Constantine brought her food, coaxed her, tried to calm her down. Vera didn't interfere. Her mother-in-law's own fault. When the month ended and Linda was leaving, she said goodbye coldly, hugged her son, and nodded to Vera. "Goodbye, Verachka, goodbye." After her departure, Constantine sighed with relief. "Thank God that's over. You're glad Mom left?" "Honestly, yes. She exhausted both of us." Vera hugged him and pressed close. "You're a good son, but you're not obligated to tolerate everything. I know. It's just that she's my mom. And that's not an excuse for violating boundaries." Constantine nodded and kissed his wife on the top of her head. After that visit, Linda didn't come back for 3 years. She called, yes, but didn't invite herself over. Vera was only glad. The farther away her mother-in-law, the more peaceful life was. She and Constantine built their life together, saved for a down payment on an apartment, and traveled. The relationship was steady and stable. Vera's mother, Tamara, visited often but never interfered in their affairs. She'd come over for tea, they'd chat, and she'd leave. No advice, no control, just warmth and respect. "Your mom is gold," Constantine would say. "I know. I'm lucky." Vera truly valued her mother. After her father's death, they'd become even closer. Tamara was a support, a pillar, but never smothered with care. She understood her daughter was an adult and could handle things herself. When Vera was 30, she and Constantine bought a 3-bedroom apartment in a good neighborhood. They split the cost equally and took out a small mortgage. Her mother came to help with renovations, hung wallpaper, washed windows. Linda called asking how much the apartment cost and why they didn't ask her for a loan. Constantine replied that they managed on their own. "But I could have helped." "Mom, you don't have much money yourself." "No need." Linda was offended but didn't insist. Vera listened to the conversation and thought, it's good we didn't borrow from her. Otherwise her mother-in-law would remind them about it for the rest of their lives. Life went on its way. Vera got promoted. Constantine moved to another company with better pay. They paid off the mortgage in 5 years, furnished the apartment, and got a cat. Vera's mother was happy for them, came on weekends, played with the cat, and drank tea. Linda called asking when they'd have children and why there were still no grandchildren. Vera answered briefly, "When we're ready." "And when will that be?" "I don't know." Her mother-in-law was outraged, but Vera paid no attention. Children were their decision with Constantine. No one else had a say to tea home with Constantine. She was softer. But even there she maintained clear boundaries. They'd been married 5 years, and during that time he'd learned the main thing. Vera wasn't toned to tolerate. If something didn't suit her, she said so immediately, calmly, and to the point. Constantine worked as a programmer, earned slightly more than his wife, and they lived in a spacious 3-bedroom apartment that they'd bought together, splitting the down payment equally. The relationship was even, partnership-based, without drama or scandals. But with her mother-in-law, Linda, things were different. The woman lived in Denver, called once a week, and every time tried to pressure her son, pried into details of their life, and criticized their choice of furniture, vacations, even Vera's haircut. Constantine usually laughed at it off or changed the subject. Vera simply didn't engage. When her mother-in-law started advising or expressing outrage, she'd politely nod and leave the room. Why argue with someone who lives 1,500 miles away? Once, about 3 years ago, Linda had come to visit for a week. Vera remembered that to me is a test of strength. Her mother-in-law nitpicked every little thing, how her daughter-in-law cooked, cleaned, and dressed. She'd say Constantine looked tired, hinting that his wife didn't take good care of him. Vera listened silently, but when Linda went into their bedroom without knocking and started rearranging things in the closet for convenience, her patience snapped. "Linda, this is our room," Vera said in an even voice, stopping in the doorway. "We decide where things go." "Please leave." Her mother-in-law turned, eyebrows raised. "I'm just helping." "No need to be so harsh. We didn't ask for help." "Please leave." Linda wanted to object, but, meeting her daughter-in-law's gaze, pressed her lips together and left. The rest of the week passed in strained silence. Constantine tried to smooth things over, but Vera was unyielding. This was their house, their rules. After that incident, her mother-in-law stopped visiting, only called, and her voice always carried a tone of offense. "Your wife is too proud," she'd tell her son. "Mom, she just knows how to stand up for herself," Constantine would reply. Vera didn't consider herself proud. She simply had boundaries and didn't let anyone cross them. Even her own mother, Tamara, she'd once told. "Mom, I love you, but don't interfere in me and Constantine's affairs." And her mother understood, accepted, and respected. They talked often, warmly, but without unnecessary interference. Tamara lived alone in a 2-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of the city. Vera's father had passed away 10 years ago, and since then her mother had held up admirably. She worked as an accountant at a small firm, grew flowers on her balcony, and went to the theater with friends. Vera visited every weekend. They'd have tea and talk about everything. Her mother never complained, never demanded attention, just was happy that her daughter was happy. But last year, something changed. Tamara started getting tired faster. Headaches appeared, along with weakness. At first, she brushed it off. Age, overwork. Vera insisted on tests. The results were terrifying. Cancer, stage 4, time measured in months. Vera didn't sob or have hysterics. She acted. She found the best doctors, paid for treatment, took her mother to live with them, set up a room for her, and hired a caregiver for when she was at work. Constantine supported her, helped, and didn't ask unnecessary questions. Tamara held on to the end, smiled, and said everything would be fine. But everything was heading toward the inevitable. In early September, her mother asked to be taken home. "I want to be in my own walls," she said quietly. Vera didn't argue. She understood. She and Constantine moved Tamara back, made her as comfortable as possible, and Vera essentially moved in with her, only going home to change clothes. She had to take indefinite leave from work. Her mother was fading before her eyes. The medication helped less and less, and in mid-October, early one morning, she quietly passed away. Vera sat beside her, holding her hand. There were no tears, just a feeling of enormous emptiness. When it was all over, she stood up, called the hospital, then Constantine. Her voice was steady and clear. "Mom's gone. Please come." He rushed over in 20 minutes, hugged her, but Vera didn't break down sobbing. She held it together because there was so much to do. Paperwork, the morgue, the funeral home. Constantine took on some of it, but she handled the main things. By evening, the most urgent matters were settled. They came home late that evening, both exhausted. Constantine offered food, but Vera declined. She went to the bedroom, lay down, and stared at the ceiling. Her mother was gone. The woman who bore her, raised her, and was always there. Now she was no more. Vera closed her eyes, trying to process it, but thoughts scattered. Constantine brought tea, set it on the nightstand, and sat beside her. "Vera, eat something." Later, he stroked her head, got up, and left. Vera heard him moving around in the kitchen, then watching TV. Somewhere around midnight, she fell asleep. Heavy, dreamless sleep. The next morning began with a phone call. Vera woke to insistent ringing and grabbed the phone. "Yes." "Verachka, it's me, Linda." Vera sat up in bed and rubbed her face. Her mother-in-law. How did she find out? "Hello. Connie told me about your mom." "My condolences, of course." "It's hard, thank you." "Verachka, I wanted to come to support you." "Connie is my son, and I should be there at times like these." Vera gripped the phone. Support? Linda had never been there when it was really needed. Not once during her mother's entire illness had she called to ask how things were. And now she decided to come. "Linda, thank you for the offer, but no need. We have everything under control. How can there be no need? I'm Connie's mother. I want to be there. Now isn't the best time for visits." "Verachka, I already bought a ticket. I'm flying in this evening." Vera fell silent, processing the information. Bought a ticket without asking. Decided for everyone. "Are you serious?" Of course. Family should be together. Vera wanted to object, but her mother-in-law had already hung up. She lowered the phone and exhaled. Perfect, just wonderful. On the day her mother passed away, her mother-in-law decided to show up uninvited. Constantine came in with a cup of coffee and saw his wife's face. What happened? Your mother is flying in this evening. He froze. Flying in? She wasn't planning to. She did. Already bought the ticket. I didn't tell her she could come, she decided on her own. Constantine set down the cup and rubbed the bridge of his nose. Ver, I'm sorry. I'll call, tell her to cancel. Too late. Tickets bought. Then I'll meet her alone, put her in a hotel. Connie, she's your mother. Let her stay here, but not for long. Vera got up and went to the bathroom. She didn't need conflicts with her mother-in-law right now. The funeral was ahead, paperwork, the will. Linda simply couldn't get in the way. The day flew by in errands. Vera was on the phone with the notary. Drove to file papers, chosi casket, and wreaths. Constantine helped as he could. By evening they returned home, and an hour later the doorbell rang. Linda stood on the threshold with a large suitcase and a forced smile. A woman in her late 50s, heavy, in a brown coat with a short perm. Connie! She hugged her son, then turned to Vera. Verachka, hang in there, dear, Vera nodded, letting her inside. Linda entered the apartment and looked around. Nothing's changed. All the same. We didn't renovate, Vera replied dryly. Oh, I didn't mean that. Just noticed. Constantine took his mother's suitcase to the guest room. Linda took off her coat and settled on the couch. Well, tell me, how did it all happen? Vera didn't want to discuss this, but staying silent would be rude. Mom was sick for a long time. This morning she passed. Poor Tamara. She was a good woman. Vera clenched her teeth. Linda had seen her mother exactly twice, at the wedding and at one family celebration. What goodness was she talking about? Yes, she was good. And what will happen with the apartment now? Vera raised her head and looked at her mother-in-law. She sat with an innocent expression. But the question came too fast, too direct. There's a will. Everything goes to me. I see. But that's right. You're the only daughter. Constantine came out of the guest room and sat next to his mother. Mom, are you tired from the trip? Maybe you should rest. No, I'm fine. I want to be with you. Vera stood up. I'm going to lie down. Tomorrow's a hard day. Of course, of course. Rest, Verachka. Vera went to the bedroom, closed the door, sat on the bed and clutched her head. Her mother passed away just yesterday, and her mother-in-law was already here, already asking about the apartment. Couldn't she have at least waited? The next day was the funeral. About 30 people came, relatives, her mother's friends, and colleagues. Vera held up stoically, didn't cry, and accepted condolences. Constantine stood beside her, supporting her by the elbow. Linda was also present, sighing the whole time and dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief, though she barely knew Tamara. After the cemetery, they gathered at a restaurant for the memorial. Linda sat next to her son, talking about eternal memory and about how fleeting life is. Vera half listened, responding monosyllabically. She just wanted it all to be over. Could be why evening the guests dispersed, and the 3 of them returned home. Vera went straight to the bedroom, changed and lay down. Constantine came in half an hour later, lay beside her and hugged her. How are you? Tired, I understand. It's all behind you now, not everything. Still paperwork, the notary. Will manage. Vera nodded and closed her eyes. Tomorrow was another day. More errands. In the morning. She woke before her husband, got dressed, and went to the kitchen. Linda was already sitting at the table with tea. Good morning, Verachka. Morning. Vera poured herself coffee and sat across from her. How did you sleep? Fine. Your guest room is comfortable. A pause. Linda stirred her tea, then raised her eyes. Verachka, I wanted to talk to you. About what? About your mother's apartment. You said everything goes to you by will. Yes, and how much is it worth if it's not a secret? Vera set down her cup. Linda, why do you need to know? Just curious. I'm worried about you and Connie. Everything's fine with us. Well, still, tell me at least roughly. Vera sighed. She didn't want to argue. The appraised value is about $7 million. Plus, Mom had savings. How much in savings? $3 million, Linda whistled. Wow, $10 million is quite an inheritance. Linda, that was my mother's life savings. She saved her whole life. Yes, yes, of course. I'm just surprised. And what will you do with the apartment? I don't know yet. Maybe rent it out. Maybe sell it. And if you sell it, where will the money go? Vera felt irritation beginning to boil inside. Linda, that's my money. I'll decide. Well, I'm not arguing. Just thinking you and Connie could expand the business or buy a house in the suburbs. We'll think about it. Constantine came into the kitchen yawning. Good morning, morning son. Sit down, I'll pour you tea. Linda bustled about, and the conversation broke off. Vera finished her coffee and went to the bedroom. Her mother-in-law had started. Cautiously for now, but already prying into their business. The next few days passed in running around offices, notary, bank, registry office. Vera processed documents and transferred accounts to her name. Linda stayed home, supposedly helping with cleaning and cooking, but Vera saw her mother-in-law was snooping around the apartment, studying papers left on the table, and eavesdropping on phone conversations. One day, Vera came home earlier than usual and found Linda in their bedroom. She was standing by the dresser, holding a folder of documents. What are you doing? Her mother-in-law flinched and turned around. Oh, Verachka, I was just looking for where you keep pills. My head is splitting. Pills are in the kitchen, in the cabinet above the sink. Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Linda put the folder back and left. Vera walked to the dresser and opened it. The folder wasn't where she'd left it. Her mother-in-law had definitely been reading. That evening, when Constantine came home from work, Vera told him, Your mother is going through our things. What? Are you sure? Absolutely. Today I caught her with our documents. Constantine frowned. I'll talk to her. Connie, she's been here 5 days already. When is she leaving? I'll ask. He went to the living room where his mother was sitting. Vera stayed in the bedroom, but could hear the conversation. Mom, you said you were coming for a week. When's your return ticket? Connie, I don't know yet. Maybe I'll stay longer. You're having a hard time. I'll help. Mom, we're not having a hard time. We'll manage. But I want to be near you. Mom, Connie, you're not kicking me out, are you? Linda's voice became offended. No, of course not. Just think about work, your own affairs. I took leave from work. My affairs can wait. Family is more important now. Constantine sighed and went quiet. Vera understood. Her mother-in-law wasn't going anywhere. She was staying indefinitely. More precisely, until she got what she came for. Another week passed. Linda had completely settled in, ran the kitchen, moved things around and gave advice. Vera tolerated it, though inside everything was boiling. She wasn't used to tolerating, but right now she didn't have the energy for conflicts. Her mother had just passed. There was emptiness in her soul, and she simply didn't want to deal with her mother-in-law. Constantine tried to smooth over rough edges, distracted his mother with conversations, and took her shopping. But Linda kept returning to the same thing, the inheritance. Verachka, have you decided what to do with the apartment? Not yet. Maybe don't sell it? Rent it out. There'll be income. We'll see. Or you could transfer it to Connie's name. In case something happens to you. The apartment stays in the family. Vera looked up from her plate. Linda, nothing's going to happen to me. Well, you never know. Life is unpredictable. Constantine put down his fork. Mom, that's for Vera to decide. Don't interfere. I'm not interfering. Just advising. The next day, Vera went to the notary to finalize everything. The documents were ready. She signed everything necessary and received the certificate of inheritance rights. The apartment and money officially transferred to her. Returning home, she put the papers in the safe that stood in the storage closet. Linda met her at the door. Well, did you finish everything? Yes, congratulations. Now you're a wealthy woman. Vera walked past without answering. Wealthy, as if money could replace her mother. That evening, the three of them sat in the kitchen having dinner. Linda was unusually quiet, thinking something over, then then suddenly said, "Verotchka, Connie, I want to have a serious talk with you." Vera and Konstantin exchanged glances. "About what?" "About the future. You're young, healthy, your whole life ahead. But I'm getting old. I'll be 60 soon. My pension is small, it's hard alone. Mom, if you need money, we'll help," Konstantin said. "It's not just about money. I'm lonely in Denver. I was thinking maybe I should move in with you." Vera froze. "Move in? How?" "Well, for good. I'll sell my apartment, invest in yours. We'll live together like a family. Mom, we have a 3-bedroom. We're already tight on space," Konstantin said carefully, "but now Vera has her mother's apartment. We could all live there together. It's bigger." Vera slowly set down her fork. "Linda, that's my mother's apartment. I'm not planning to move there. Why not? It's convenient. For rooms, enough for everyone, because my mother lived there. I don't want to. Verotchka, but it's just an apartment. Your mother isn't coming back." Vera stood up from the table. "Connie, talk to your mother." She left the kitchen and shut herself in the bedroom. Her hands were shaking with fury. How dare she? Her mother passed away 3 weeks ago, and this woman was already making plans to move into her apartment. Konstantin came in 10 minutes later. "Ver, I'm sorry. I didn't know she'd say that. Your mother wants to take Mom's apartment." "No, she just—" "Connie, she wants to live there and then probably transfer it to her name too. Don't jump to conclusions. Mom is just lonely. Let her stay in Denver or buy an apartment here with her own money. She doesn't have that kind of money. That's not my problem." Konstantin sat on the bed and rubbed his face with his palms. "Okay, I'll tell her it's impossible." But the next day, Linda brought up the topic again, at breakfast when Konstantin had already left for work. "Verotchka, did you think about my proposal?" "Linda, the answer is no. I won't live in Mom's apartment and you won't move there." "But why?" "It's convenient, because I decided so." "Verotchka, don't be selfish. Think about family." Vera stood up and grabbed her purse. "I am thinking about family. My family. And you, Linda, are a guest. And it seems you've overstayed your welcome." She left, slamming the door. AT work all day. She was on edge, barely holding back from saying too much to colleagues. Her mother-in-law was crossing all lines. First questions, then snooping through things, now demanding the apartment. What next? That evening, coming home, she heard voices from the living room. Linda was talking on the phone, loudly agitated. "Yes, I'm serious. She's completely out of line. Got the inheritance and thinks she's a queen now. Doesn't even remember her mother-in-law. I did so much for Connie, raised him alone, and now he only listens to his wife. No, he's a good boy. She's just manipulating him." Vera stopped in the hallway listening. Manipulating, out of line. She clenched her fists and walked into the living room. Linda turned and saw her daughter-in-law. "Okay, I'll talk later," she said quickly into the phone and hung up. "Who are you discussing our family with?" Vera asked in an icy tone. "Just a friend. Sharing my worries." "Worries? You said I was out of line and manipulating my husband." "Verotchka, you misunderstood." "I understood perfectly." "Linda, you've been here 3 weeks. That's enough. Pack your things." Her mother-in-law paled. "You're throwing me out?" "I'm asking you to leave. Does Connie know?" "Connie will agree with me." Linda stood up and straightened. "Fine. If I'm not needed here, I'll leave. But first I'll talk to Mason." She walked past Vera and disappeared into the guest room. Vera stood looking out the window. That's it. Enough. Her mother-in-law had crossed the final line. Konstantin came home late, around 10. His mother immediately pounced on him with complaints. Vera heard from the bedroom, "Connie, your wife is throwing me out. I, your mother, came to support you. And she says Ivy overstayed." "Mom, calm down. Let's figure this out." Konstantin entered the bedroom. Vera was sitting on the bed. "What happened?" "Your mother was discussing me with friends. Said I was out of line and manipulating you." "Seriously?" "I heard it myself. Connie, I've had enough. She came 3 weeks ago and from day one has been prying into our business. asking about the inheritance, suggesting we move into Mom's apartment and going through our things. I can't take it anymore. Constantine sat beside her and took her hand. Ver, I understand. Mom really has crossed the line. I'll talk to her. Talk so that she leaves. Okay, he left, and the conversation in the living room started again. This time quieter, but Vera still heard fragments. Mom, did you really say that about Vera? Connie, I'm just worried about you. Worried or interfering where you're not asked. How can you talk to your mother like that? Mom, Vera's right. You've been here too long. Time to go home. Linda went quiet. Then her voice became soft and hurt. So you're on her side. I'm on my family's side, and you, Mom, are a guest. A guest? I'm your mother. A guest in my own son's house. Mom, don't be dramatic. Just pack. I'll buy you a ticket for the day after tomorrow. Linda tried to say something else, but Constantine cut her off. That's it, Mom. It's decided. He returned to the bedroom and lay beside his wife. She's leaving the day after tomorrow. Thank you. Vera closed her eyes. Finally, but in the morning, when Constantine had left for work, Linda approached Vera again. Her face was determined. Verachka, I want to talk straight. I'm listening. You received a large inheritance. $10 million. That's serious money. Yes, Connie is my son. I raised him alone without a husband, put everything into him, and now he lives with you, and I'm left alone with a poverty pension. Vera stayed silent, understanding where this was going. I think it would be fair if you shared. Not with me, but with Connie. Transfer half the inheritance to him. He's your husband after all. Linda, this is inheritance from my mother. To me, but your family. You share everything. The apartment and money for my mother are my personal property by law. The law is one thing. Humanity is another. Verachka, I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for me son. Vera stood up. Linda, the answer is no. Tomorrow you're leaving. And this conversation ice over. Her mother-in-law pressed her lips together and nodded. Fine, as you say. But Vera saw something mean and stubborn flash in her eyes. Linda hadn't given up. She was planning something. That evening her mother-in-law was pointedly cold, ate dinner in silence, then locked herself in the guest room. Constantine tried to talk to her, but she answered monosyllabically. Vera was only glad. One more day, and this woman would be gone. But the next morning, when Vera was getting ready for work, Linda blocked her way in the hallway. Verachka, wait. What? I thought all night and realized you're being unfair. Connie is your husband, and you don't want to share the inheritance with him. That's selfish. Linda, I'm running late. Wait, I'm serious. If you love Connie, you should take care of his future. I'll take care of his future myself without your advice. So you don't want to share? No, Linda straightened up, and her face became hard. Then I'll say it straight. I believe I'm entitledto part of this inheritance. Vera froze. You? Why? Because I'm Connie's mother, and I have a right to care for him. Since he now has a rich wife, she should help his mother. Have you lost your mind? I'm perfectly sane, Verachka. I want $5 million and the apartment, the one you inherited from your mother. Vera felt everything inside go cold. $5 million and the apartment. Just like that, because her mother-in-law decided she was entitled. You want me to give you half my mother's inheritance? Not half. $5 million plus the apartment. That's fair. Fair. Yes. I raised Connie, and now his family should support me. Vera slowly set her purse on the floor. Linda, do you understand what you're saying? Perfectly. If you won't agree voluntarily, I'll go to court. I'll say Connie has a right to half your property since you're married. The inheritance is my personal property. The court won't award you anything. We'll see. I have a lawyer. He'll find a way. Vera stepped closer. You came the day my mother passed away. You lived here 3 weeks, went through our things, made plans, and now you're demanding $5 million and an apartment. Are you in your right mind? I'm perfectly sane, and I'm waiting for an answer. Something inside Vera snapped. Everything she'd been holding back these weeks. All the pain, exhaustion, and irritation burst out. You know what, Linda? I'll tell you what I think. When my mother died, that same day, my mother-in-law showed up and demanded $5 million of the inheritance and an apartment. After that, I couldn't take it anymore. Such a response from the quiet daughter-in-law she never expected. Vera spoke calmly, but her voice sounded like a blow. You thought I was quiet. You thought I'd tolerate your manipulations. I was never a pushover. I just didn't see the need to deal with you. But since you've stuck your nose where you weren't tasked, I'll tell you everything. Linda backed away, but Vera continued. You came here not to support us. You came for money. From day one you asked about the inheritance, suggested moving into Mom's apartment, and made plans. You didn't come to the funeral out of respect for her memory. You came to assess how much you could get. Verachka, you. I'm not finished. You lived here 3 weeks, ate our food, used our hospitality, and meanwhile discussed me with friends. Said I was out of line, and now you're also demanding $5 million. I'm not demanding, I'm asking, you're demanding. And you know what? You won't get a single cent. Not 1 cent of my mother's inheritance. Because this is her money, her apartment, and she left it all to me. Not you, not to Connie, but to me. Linda went pale. You'll regret this. No, you'll regret it. Because now I'm going to tell Connie everything you've done here, and he'll decide how to deal with you. Vera grabbed her phone and dialed her husband. He answered after a few rings. Ver, what happened? Come home, urgently. What is it? Something very serious. Constantine arrived in 20 minutes, entered the apartment, and saw his wife and mother standing across from each other. What's going on? Ask your mother, Vera said. Linda stayed silent, looking at the floor. Mom, what did you do? Connie, I just asked Vera to help us. I thought she demanded $5 million and Mom's apartment, Vera interrupted. Said it was fair because it's your mother. Constantine turned to his mother. Are you serious? Connie, I didn't demand. I asked. You demanded my wife's inheritance. The wife whose mother just passed away. I was thinking about your future. You were thinking about money. Constantine's voice broke into a shout. You came here not to support us. You came for the inheritance. 3 weeks you lived here, pried into our business, and now you're also demanding money. Connie, I'm your mother. You're my mother, but that doesn't give you the right to someone else's property. Vera received inheritance from her mother. That's her money. Not mine, not yours. Hers. Linda started crying. I just wanted the best. No, you wanted money. And you know what? Enough. Constantine walked to his mother and took her by the shoulders. Pack your things right now, Anne, leave. Connie, I said pack. Linda sobbed and ran to the guest room. Constantine turned to Vera and hugged her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for my mother. Vera pressed against him, finally allowing herself to relax. It's okay. She'll never come here again. I forbid it. Connie, she's your mother. So what? That's no excuse. Linda came out of the guest room with her suitcase. Her face was tear-stained, eyes red. Connie, I'm leaving. But remember, I'm your mother. Someday you'll understand I was right. You weren't right. You were selfish. And until you apologize to Vera, don't call me. He opened the door. Linda looked at him, then at Vera, sobbed and left. The door closed. Constantine leaned against it and exhaled. God, I'm so ashamed. Don't be. You're not guilty. I am. I should have stopped her earlier. Vera walked over and hugged him. The main thing is you're on my side, always. They stood like that for several minutes in silence. Then Constantine pulled back and looked at his wife. How do you feel? Tired, but better. Come on, I'll make you tea. They went to the kitchen and sat at the table. Constantine brewed tea and set a cup in front of Vera. Ver, I always thought Mom was just caring. But now I realize she's a manipulator. I knew that long ago. Why didn't you say anything? Why? You wouldn't have believed it until you saw it yourself. Constantine nodded. You're right. I'm sorry. It's okay, Connie. They sat drinking tea in silence. Rain was falling outside, tapping on the glass. Vera watched the drops and thought, maybe now everything will work out? Maybe her mother-in-law will understand she was wrong and leave them alone. But 2 weeks passed and Linda called. Constantine took the call and went to another room. He talked for a long time, his voice rising and falling. Vera didn't listen, didn't want to know. When he returned, his face was troubled. Mom called. I figured. She apologizes. Vera looked up. Apologizes? Yes. Says she was wrong, that she got carried away. Asking for your forgiveness. And what did you say? Said I'd pass it on. It's your decision, Vera thought. An apology. Linda was ready to apologize, but what did that change? She'd come the day her mother passed away, demanded millions and pried into their life. An apology wouldn't fix that. Tell her I accept the apology, Vera finally said. But we won't have a close relationship. Connie, I don't want anything more to do with your mother. If you want to talk to her, go ahead. But without me. Constantine nodded. I understand. A month passed. Linda stopped calling Vera. Only Constantine. Once a week. The conversations were short and formal. Vera didn't interfere, wasn't interested. Early December, Constantine announced. Mom is inviting us to Denver for New Year's. Go if you want. I'll stay here. She's trying to rebuild the relationship. Constantine, I don't want to. I have no desire to see someone who demanded millions on the day my mother died, he sighed. Okay, then I'll stay too. No need. Go visit your mother. I just won't go. In the end, Constantine went alone for 3 days. Vera stayed home and celebrated New Year with friends. She was calm and content. No mother-in-law, no tension. When Constantine returned, he was thoughtful. How's Mom? Vera asked more out of politeness. Fine. She asked about you. What exactly? Whether you're still angry. And what did you say? Said yes, and for a long time Vera smiled. You said it right. 6 more months passed. Linda called Constantine regularly, but didn't bother Vera. Sometimes she asked him to say hello. Constantine passed it on, and Vera nodded. The relationship remained cold and formal, and Vera was fine with that. Once Constantine asked, will you ever forgive Mom? I don't know. Maybe someday. Maybe not. She really regrets it, maybe. But that doesn't change what she did. Constantine nodded and didn't insist anymore. Vera sold her mother's apartment a year after she passed. She invested the money in business and opened her own consulting company. Business went well. She hired employees and expanded. Constantine supported her and was proud. Linda learned about the apartment sale from her son, called, and asked if Vera regretted the decision. Tell her I don't regret it, Vera told Constantine. To pass it on. Her mother-in-law didn't ask again. 2 years passed. Vera and Constantine lived their life, made plans, and traveled. Linda stayed in Denver, called her son, and sometimes sent packages with jam and socks. Vera accepted without enthusiasm, but didn't refuse, just thanked formally. Once in March, Constantine said, Mom wants to come visit for a week. Says she misses us. Vera looked at him. And what did you say? Said I'd ask you. Connie, I don't want to see her. It's been 2 years. Maybe give her a chance. Why? She's my mother, and she really regrets it, Vera thought. 2 years. Maybe it was time. Linda hadn't interfered in their business anymore. Didn't call her and didn't demand anything. Maybe she really had changed. Okay, let her come. But for a week, no longer. Constantine brightened. Thank you, sweetheart. Linda came at the end of March. Vera greeted her reservedly without a smile. Her mother-in-law also kept her distance, didn't interfere, and didn't ask questions. The first days went normally. She helped with cleaning, cooked, and watched TV. Vera barely talked to her, only briefly answering questions at dinner. On the 3rd day, Linda asked to talk privately. Vera agreed, and they sat in the kitchen. Verachka, I want to apologize again for what happened 2 years ago. I was wrong, completely wrong. Vera stayed silent. I understand I caused you pain. Your mother had just passed, and I came with demands. It was low. Please forgive me. Linda, I accepted your apology 2 years ago. But that doesn't mean I forgot. I know. And I'm not asking you to forget. I just want you to know. I regret it. Vera nodded. Okay. They didn't talk about it anymore. Linda spent the week, then left. Vera walked her to the door and said goodbye briefly. Her mother-in-law hugged her son and looked at her daughter-in-law. Thank you for letting me come. You're welcome. The door closed. Constantine hugged Vera. You did great. Thank you for giving her a chance. I gave you a chance so you could see your mom. Thank you anyway. Vera pressed against him and sighed. Connie, I'll never be close with your mother. Ever. I understand. The relationship will be polite, formal. And that's it. Fine. And so they continued to live. Linda came once a year for a week. Vera communicated with her minimally, politely, and without warmth. Constantine didn't insist and didn't try to bring him closer. He understood. There are things that aren't forgiven. And demanding millions on the day Vera's mother died was exactly the kind of thing. 5 years passed from that day. Vera built a successful business. Constantine got promoted. They had a daughter and named her Tamara after Vera's mother. Linda came to visit her granddaughter and brought gifts. But Vera didn't leave them alone. There was no trust. Once, when their daughter turned 3, Constantine asked, Ver, will you ever tell Tammy about her grandmother? About my mom? Yes, about yours, when she grows up. And what will I tell her? The truth, that she's a good person, but you need to maintain boundaries with her. Constantine chuckled. Fair enough. Vera looked at him and smiled. I'm not vindictive. I just remember. And I won't let that history repeat. You won't. I know. He hugged her and kissed the top of her head. Vera closed her eyes and pressed against him. They'd been through a lot, but stayed together. And that was what mattered. Linda continued living in Denver. She called once a week and visited once a year. The relationship with her daughter-in-law remained cool and formal. She tried to get closer sometimes, but Vera kept her distance, firmly, calmly, and without explanation. And her mother-in-law accepted it because there was no choice. She'd crossed a line once, and Vera didn't forgive. Not because she was mean, but because she knew her worth and didn't let anyone, even her husband's relatives, violate her boundaries. When my mother died, that same day my mother-in-law showed up and demanded $5 million off the inheritance and an apartment. After that, I couldn't take it anymore. Such a response from the quiet daughter-in-law she never expected. Vera remembered those words. She'd spoken them 2 years ago and had lived by them since. She didn't tolerate, didn't forgive the unforgivable, and didn't pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. Life went on. Their daughter grew. Business developed. Constantine was by her side, and Linda stayed at a distance, where she belonged. Vera didn't regret anything. She'd done what she had to do. She protected herself, her family, and her mother's memory. And that was enough. Years later, when Tammy grew up and started asking questions, Vera told her not everything, just the basics. How important it is to respect yourself, set boundaries, and not let people take advantage of your kindness. Mom, did you forgive Grandma Linda? The girl asked. I accepted her apology, but we didn't become close. Why not? Because there are things that change relationships forever, and you need to be able to accept that. Tammy nodded, thoughtful. Vera stroked her head and smiled. Her daughter would grow up strong. She'd know that you don't have to tolerate, that you can and should protect yourself. And Linda remained a guest in their life. She came, she left, she called, but they didn't let her get close. Constantine communicated with her, but without the former warmth. He remembered that day when his mother demanded inheritance from his wife, and he would never take her side on such a matter again. Vera was satisfied. She'd built the life she wanted, with a husband who supported her, with a daughter she adored, with a business that brought joy, and without people who dragged her down. Even if that person was her mother-in-law, the story repeated itself one final time in Vera's mind. The lesson crystallized through years of standing firm. When her mother passed away, on that same day, her mother-in-law had shown up and eventually demanded $5 million and an apartment from her inheritance. And Vera, the supposedly quiet daughter-in-law, had finally shown her true strength. She'd drawn a line that day, a boundary that would never be crossed again, and she'd protected what mattered most: her dignity, her mother's memory, and her family's future. And that decision, difficult as it was in the moment, had been absolutely right.